Albatrosses are the most threatened of all families of birds.
They play a key role in marine ecosystems.
Albatrosses have the longest wings of any flying bird. During the course of their lifetime, they fly hundreds of thousands of kilometers.
And because they travel these large distances, they also overlap with many vessels, which put them at risk of bycatch. "95% of all albatross species, they are affected by bycatch. Wandering albatrosses, they scavenge on the sea surface when you are setting long lines and then you have the baited hooks. What happens is that the albatrosses, they are attracted by that smell. They go there, they grab the bait. When the line is being set, the albatross end up drowning. This is what happens in long line vessels. With trawler vessels, they may hit their wings on the wharves.
The Seabird Sentinels project is designed to look at interactions of wandering albatrosses with fishing vessels at very fine scales.
Tracking technology has been fundamental for us to understand the movement and behavior of birds. We deploy radar loggers. They record the GPS position of the birds, and they also scan the surroundings for the presence of vessels. And then we integrated this information with the automatic identification system. And by doing that and correlating this information, we can identify at fine scale the main areas, periods, as well as fleets that wandering albatrosses are interacting with. And by doing that, we can identify where birds are most at risk.
Albatrosses are still declining all throughout the Southern Ocean, largely because of the lack of implementation of mitigation measures that reduce mortality. We know that the mitigation measures can be very effective, but the problem is that there's no checking of compliance with those measures in many fisheries because you require an onboard human observer or to check compliance using electronic monitoring, which involves having tamper-proof cameras on board the vessels. In many national fisheries, they have good observer programs, and the fisheries operators and crew are implementing all these mitigation measures, but it's much harder to reach the fishing vessels operating in the high seas. The toothfish fisheries at South Georgia are an example of where mitigation to reduce seabird mortality has been extremely effective. There's a closed season, so the fishery doesn't operate when most birds are breeding, so that reduces the number of birds that are around. They use heavy line weighting to sink the hook as rapidly as possible beyond the diving depths of the foraging albatrosses and other seabirds. They set at night when albatrosses are less active, and they use streamer lines behind the back of the vessel when the lines are being set, which discourages albatrosses from trying to dive down on the bait. The problem for the albatrosses at South Georgia is that although they're safe in the waters around the breeding colony, the same mitigation measures that are in place there to reduce bycatch are not in place in other parts of the foraging range.
We were able to identify that the areas that wandering albatrosses from South Georgia are most at risk are when they travel to the Patagonian shelf, particularly during incubation and post-Arctic hearing period. And during this period, they encounter multiple long-line vessels as well as trawlers.
Now that we've identified the fleets that represent potentially the greatest risk to wandering albatrosses from South Georgia, it's really important that advocacy focuses on those particular fishing nations and the vessel operators. It's only by ensuring that they implement effective seabird bycatch mitigation measures and that they check compliance with those measures where we'll be able to ensure the future of the population at South Georgia.
We know that solutions exist, so if we apply the solutions, we know that we can revert mortality of wandering albatrosses in fisheries.